Why are so many bad things happening to America in 2022? This is by Michael Schneider on Economic Collapse blog. Have you ever wondered why we just keep getting hit by one thing after another? I grew up during a time when it seemed like America was endlessly blessed, but now everything around us seems the opposite of blessed. Our country is imploding, inflation's out of control, the housing market is starting to crash, our weather patterns have gone completely nuts. The western half of the nation is enduring the worst drought in 1,200 years, and we're dealing with three major pandemics simultaneously. We're losing our proxy war with Russia and Ukraine. It looks like war with China is around the corner, and on top of everything else, our political system is failing because liberals and conservatives deeply hate one another. And if you think that there is hope on the horizon, you're going to be severely disappointed. The current crop of politicians in Washington is the worst we've had in our entire history, and all of the solutions, quote unquote, they give us just seem to make matters even worse. I recently came across a very intriguing article in the Jerusalem Post titled, "Is God Punishing the United States of America?" It was authored by a prominent businessman named Sherwin Pomerantz, and it really got me thinking. Could it be possible that there is a common thread that connects all of the bad things that are constantly happening to us? In this article, one of the points that Pomerantz makes is that America's political system is coming apart at the seams right in front of our eyes. Politically, whether people want to admit it or not, the country is in the midst of a civil war though for the moment, not one where both sides have taken up arms one against the other, though that too could eventuate. Sadly, he's right on target. There's much more politically motivated conflicts in our country today. Liberals deeply hate conservatives, conservatives deeply hate liberals. It would seem that it's only a matter of time before the entire system shatters. And another note Pomerantz believes is that it's no coincidence whether our weather patterns have gone totally haywire and that our nation is being constantly hit by natural disaster, one after another. Then there is the weather. On average, the U.S. experiences fewer than 1,500 tornadoes a year. Through June, there have already been 940 reported tornadoes there, which means the country is on track to see 2,000 or more, a 33% increase year on year. The nightly news out of the U.S. for the past few months shows tens of millions of people under extreme weather risk every day, often in three different areas of the country simultaneously: upper Midwest, East Coast, and Southeast region. In the West, a long period of drought has been drying up reservoirs and spawning massive forest fires. National Interagency Fire Center, NIFC, statistics show that as of July 5th, 34,478 fires developed have already burned for over 4.5 million acres. This is above the 10-year average of 27,346 fires and twice the average of 2,026,917 acres burned. The odd thing is that very little of this occurs just north of the U.S. in Canada or just south in Mexico. It all seems to be centered in the United States. I did find it odd that Pomerantz only briefly mentioned the drought because it is actually a real big deal. At this moment, the western half of the nation is in the midst of worst multi-year mega drought that the region has experienced in 1,200 years, and this is having an absolutely devastating impact on agricultural production. For example, we are now being warned that a very serious shortage of tomatoes could soon be coming, as endless supply chain related food shortages force people to adjust their grocery lists. Another essential ingredient is becoming scarce, along with avocados, cream cheese, chickpeas, and olive oil. The supply of tomatoes has started to dwindle, but this time it's California's catastrophic drought conditions denying farmers the water needed to grow the versatile vegetable that's to blame. Due to the shortage, the price of byproducts like ketchup, salsa, and spaghetti sauce has started to surge. And speaking about the tomato shortage, head of California's Tomato Growers Association, Mike Montana, said, The Golden State desperately needs rain. We are getting to a point where we don't have inventory left to keep fulfilling the market demand, he told Bloomberg News. California, which grows a quarter of the world's tomatoes, is in the middle of a historic drought that has stoked massive wildfires while drying up reserves. It has also become a major threat to the agriculture industry. When I was growing up, I never once imagined that there could ever be a shortage of tomatoes in this country, but things have changed, and life in the US will never again be like it was when I was a little boy. Although, to be honest, I'm having flashbacks to the 1970s with all of the inflation we are witnessing right now. In fact, if the inflation rate was still calculated the way it was back in 1980, it would be higher than anything that we experienced during the Jimmy Carter era. Over the past couple of years, our politicians in Washington have gone on the most dramatic borrowing and spending binge in human history, and the experts at the Federal Reserve pumped trillions of fresh dollars into the financial system. Of course, that was going to cause inflation, and now we have a colossal mess on our hands. I really like how Steve Bannon recently summed up what we're now facing. Every time you get a paycheck, you're falling behind because of inflation. Your real wages, 16 months in a row. Now let me think, how long has the Biden administration been here? About 18 months. Every month since they've been here, real wages are down. Okay, so you're losing your treadmill, you're losing every day in your wages, and now the little bit of equity you have in the world, the little bit of net worth you've got in the world, the bottom's falling out on that. Okay, so you're screwed. Let me be blunt. Let me do some Harvard Business School math for you. You're screwed. The Federal Reserve is recklessly hiking interest rates in a desperate attempt to battle inflation, but everyone knew that this would eventually come and cause a housing crash. And as I pointed out recently, a housing crash has already begun. This July, new home sales were about 30% lower than they were last July. The plunge in the home sales is just stunning. Sales of new single-family houses collapsed by 12.6% in July from the already beaten down levels in June, and by nearly 30% from July last year to a seasonal adjustment annual rate of 511,000 houses, the lowest since January 2016, and well below the lockdown lows, according to data from the Census Bureau today. Sadly, this is just the beginning. If the Fed keeps raising rates, things will get far worse. Meanwhile, we find ourselves battling 3 major pandemics all at once. Despite everything that our health authorities have done, COVID is still with us and will be with us for many years to come. If that wasn't bad enough, bird flu pandemic erupted this year, which has resulted in tens of millions of our chickens and turkeys being wiped out. And on top of that, a new monkeypox outbreak continues to spread at an exponential rate all over the planet. Is it just some sort of bizarre coincidence that we are now facing 3 major pestilences simultaneously? Of course, this article would not be complete unless I talked about the war. We're now deeply involved in a proxy war with Russia and Ukraine, and it's not going very well. And if both sides continue to escalate matters, we could eventually find ourselves in nuclear conflict with Russia, which would have the potential to ultimately kill billions of people. In addition, warmongers have also brought to us the brink of war with China. More U.S. politicians keep flying over Taiwan, and at some point, the Chinese are going to decide that they simply can't take any more provocations. Also, this is just a matter of time before Iran and Israel go towards each other, and once that happens, the U.S. will eventually decide to intervene. In this article, I've covered war, plagues, economic collapse, and natural disasters, among other things. Could it be possible that all of these things are happening at this specific moment in history for a reason? And could it be possible that we're warning in advance that all of these things would be coming? My hope is that this article would get people thinking. All of human history has been building up to a grand crescendo, and we get to be here for it. Unfortunately, the vast majority of the population has no idea what is ahead, And so most of them are going to be absolutely blindsided by the cataclysmic events that are rapidly coming our way. And this is by Michael Snyder. He says, "My name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled Sever Your Apocalypse is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I have written 5 other books that are available on Amazon, including Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, Get Prepared Now, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one way you can help is by sending digital copies as gifts through Amazon to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings to the hands of as many people as possible. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article, which is what I'm doing here. Going back to this, the material contained in this article are for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media on Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is a great help. These are such troubled times, and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. Quote, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life." End quote. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to ask Jesus to be your Lord and Savior today. And this is by Michael Schneider on the Economic Collapse blog. I'll leave a link below for you. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.